Everyone, I'm out here on a walk on a finally nice day. The ice and snow has lifted and the temperatures have actually gotten better for once, which is incredible and really amazing. You can actually feel your fingers and your toes when you're out here, and the wind is finally slowed down to where it's not kicking. I thought I'd make a video about something that I've been noticing and experiencing with a lot of people, some of my family members included. Just the general state of how really no Americans can afford anything. They can't afford to live. They can't afford to function. My parents are retired. They're in their late 70s, and they can't, well, all the taxes they're getting hit with, all the increased bills, everything, they're on a fixed income. And because they are on a fixed income, there's no way on earth for them to keep up with everything that they keep getting hit with. And basically what is starting to happen is it's a tipping point for a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans can't afford, especially the ones that are already retired, which is, interesting. It's finally hitting the boomer generation to some degree, but they can't afford everything they're getting hit with. All the bills, all the overreach, all the corruption in our government spending, and just the high cost of living all the way across the board, from just being price gouged at every different point that you can imagine. So what is happening is a lot of these families that have had homes that they bought in the 60s, 70s, 80s, places that they built, places that were, intended to hopefully at some point get passed down to future generations. Well, those homes are going to end up in the hands of the government because they're going to get taken away from us because of tax reasons. The increased amount of property tax, the increased amount on the bills. Yet nobody has any more money coming in. Nobody's making any more. So if that keeps happening, more and more homes are going to get taken away from people. Homes that are paid off. Homes that should be passed down to the next generation of families, that should be debt-free, because it's never really debt-free. We're just renting it from our corrupt governments. And then what happens after those homes are taken? Well, obviously, private equity and huge corporate interests are going to come in and take those things. They're going to seize those properties and start using it and basically screwing us over with even that. And if you're sick of it like I am, you're sick of hearing about all this and seeing this sort of thing happen, I invite you to join our community and, well, let's see if we can start moving forward for a better quality of life. Because I'll just say this outright right now. If average Americans can't make it, then what difference does the rest make? If we all collectively cannot make a good living, can't function, can't thrive, then none of the rest of it matters. Even if other people come to this country, other immigrants, other people that want to experience the American dream, well, if Americans can't make it, what difference does the rest make? If you want to preach about a bunch of equality, social issues, and all these other things that people want to talk about, what difference is any of that going to make if your average American can't afford to put food on the table? People are losing generational homes, losing generational wealth. If they're not going to make it, then anybody that comes here isn't going to make it. And that's got to change. In the towns, the cities, the places where we all live and have our jobs and try to live and function and thrive, but we can't. That's got to change to where the thrust is for us to be able to have jobs that pay enough, allow us to live, and force out of business anybody that is basically overpricing and crushing us with all of this. And I guess the real issue comes down to how many people are willing to find a way to do what's necessary to change all of that. Who's willing to do that? We're going to need people to basically, boards of supervisors, people that are in authority and in power, we're going to have to get them into office. Anybody that is willing to face the problem for what it truly is. Willing to acknowledge the fact that this whole thing is a giant mess. It's a huge mess. And it's out of control with the cost of living for pretty much everybody. It's getting to the point to where people are having to accept solutions where they want to get into like a tiny home or some sort of a shed or something. I hear from people all the time. They want tiny homes, they want sheds, they want things that they can afford so they can begin to stockpile their money and hopefully get into a situation where they can thrive. Well, the only problem with all of that is most of the states, most of the governments, most of the boards of supervisors, well, they're just plain not interested in that because they can't tax the absolute crap out of it. They can't make huge amounts of money off of it. They can't crush the... Oops, sorry about that. They can't crush the people who go out and begin to pursue that way. So they find ways to make it maybe not completely illegal, but very borderline illegal. In other words, finding another way that's going to allow you to thrive, well, that's not allowed. You need to be burdened all the way up to your eyeballs in debt, or you are a criminal, and we got to find you and stop you. How many other people are starting to feel this way? Because I've been noticing this a lot. I keep hearing from people that are noticing this, and I'd love to hear from all of you. What are your thoughts and comments on this? Because it just seems like everything's getting completely out of control. And it's beginning to seem like nobody's really hearing us. No one's really on board with any of this, especially if they're in politics and in power at this point. We need some real change because the corruption is clearly the culprit. On a government level, on an economic level, when it comes to especially big corporations and everybody else involved in all of this, when it comes to private equity, they're just basically fleecing all of us and bending and manipulating the laws and the system to help them and screw all the rest of us over. So, curious what you think. Would love to hear from you. Let's talk about it. Talk to you soon.